Hello, how are you guys doing? Okay, I'm just gonna tell you that I know already this camera is not gonna sit there tonight. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm gonna do as far as my vlog. But I wanted to vlog for a couple minutes. I'm on my way to my meeting right now to go pick up Tanya Jean Applestein. Yeah, this camera isn't gonna sit here and cooperate. So I'm gonna do the this is so hilarious. I'm gonna do the best I can, you guys. Tomorrow I'm going to figure out, I'm gonna have to get something to figure out how to do the vlog in my car. I'm gonna get some kind of suction cup kind of thing. So for tonight, we're just gonna have to deal with the fact that this is a really bad kind of vlogging environment. So I apologize. I'm in my new car, and as you can see, it is not a Jeep Wrangler. So I got up today, and I was like, I'm just gonna dedicate the whole day to buying a new car. And I went to the dealership that I had gone to last night and met with a guy that was so helpful to me last night. And I spent about 4 hours there, I think. I spent about 4 hours there. And I test drove a Jeep Wrangler Sahara. And then I liked it. It was really nice. It had heated seats. It was leather. It had a nice radio system in it. It was quite pricey. And it had like almost 40,000 miles on it, which was one of the drawbacks. And, so I test drove that, and then I liked it. It was very small inside, and it wasn't super comfortable. And after this long discussion last night about what does my soul speak of, I think, to be honest, my soul at 46 years old, I know this is bad, wants to be a little bit more comfortable. I think, like, that's what I learned today. So then I went and we looked at the Jeep Cherokees that I had looked at, and they had, like, tons of them. They had bought a bunch of them, and so they were, like, in great condition. So this one, so that's what I ended up getting, was a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's black, and it has 23,000 miles on it, and it was a 2017, and it has a really good warranty package with it. My payments were totally realistic. The radio is unbelievable. I will say that was one of the down things about the Wrangler, which I have a feeling like Alex test drove it and he really wants it, but I'm like, the music is really, like, the stereo system is really bad in the Wrangler, like really bad. Like, you can hardly, like, the speaker was back here, most of it, and then there was a speaker up front, but like, as far as like somebody that loves to listen to music, I just was like, I don't think, like, the music in here is like pounding. It is like awesome, as well as the audio. Like, I played an audiobook on my way home, and so the heated seats, I have heated seats, heated steering wheel, heated rear seats. I have ventilated seats in the front, which means that the air conditioning comes through. I mean, it has everything brand new. It has the sunroof that goes all the way to the very back. I love this car. I absolutely love this car. And it's still kind of fun. It's sporty, kind of, but it just is a little bit more sleek than a Wrangler, obviously. You know, the other thing is like, as beautiful as the Wrangler was, I don't know, if I could have two cars, I guess I would have like this and a Wrangler, but when I test drove it, I just was like, I wanted to like get in the car and be like, this is the car that I have to have. And I got in the Wrangler and I just didn't feel that way. Like, you know, I didn't get in it and be like, yeah, this is like, my soul is screaming of this. And I was like, you know, I started looking at things like taking the top off, and then in Indiana, you know, you can be having clear skies, and then 2 hours later it starts to rain. And I just was like, I could see this being like, me not being happy about some of these things. And I just was like, I was sitting there, and I actually called my dad, and I called Tanya, and I called Alex, and all three of them were like, go with the Cherokee. They were like, you're gonna be happier in the Cherokee, you know, it's nicer inside. And I literally sat there and I looked between the two cars. I just went back and forth, and I was like, because he was running the numbers for both of them, and he was like, okay, do you know which one? I mean, and the numbers were roughly the same. The Wrangler was more, but not tons more. And so they were roughly the same. And he goes, you know, do you want to go test drive them again? What do you want to do? I go, let's just go with the Cherokee. He goes, are you sure? And I go, yeah, let's just go with the Cherokee. I said, I'm going to be happier in a car that's more comfortable long term. I just know me. And I said, and, you know, at some point in my life, if I can get, like, you know, some 10-year-old Wrangler just to drive around for fun in the summer, I'll do that. I said, but right now, I said, this is more realistic for me. I said, oh, and I asked him about the mileage, the gas mileage, and he goes, do you drive a lot? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, which, by the way, when I returned to my rental car today, the guy goes, you have put so many miles on this car. He goes, do you want to know how many miles you put on the car? And I go, no, that's okay. And he goes, well, I'm going to tell you anyway. And he told me. I was like, oh my God. That's like a trip to Florida. And so when I was asking about mileage, the guy, not the guy that I talked to the other night, but the guy that, like, helped me, there were two people that helped me last night, and then the second guy was the guy that I went in there and I talked to today. And they were all so nice, this car dealership, and not, like, overly friendly, trying to sell you a car, like, they were genuinely friendly. And, I was like, okay, so tell me the difference between, like, you know, the gas mileage on a Cherokee and the gas mileage. Because he was honest. He was like, you know, I'm telling you right now, if you buy a Wrangler and you bring it back in here 5 to 10 years from now, the resale value is really good. He said next to a Mustang, they have, like, the highest resale value. So you're going to get your money's worth. And I was like, and he was like, Cherokees are good too, but it's not the same. And, but he was like, so, I was like, what about the gas mileage? And he was like, yeah, the gas mileage is not great. And I was like, on a Wrangler, that's what people have said. He goes, yeah, it's not great. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, and if you drive it a lot, he goes, it's, you know, make sure you get all the warranties possible, because he said there's a lot of things that kind of happen to them. People complain about. He goes, you know, I know a lot of people love them. He goes, but a lot of people have issues with them too. I don't know. I just, with my gut, when I was out there, my gut told me to get the Cherokee, and I'm not unhappy about it. So I think it's beautiful inside. I love it. And Alex, I came home, and Alex had gotten home a little bit before me. And so I went and I drove him around the street for a little bit. And he was real excited about it. And he was like, this is totally you. He was like, I think this car is a little bit you more than a Wrangler is. I said, okay. So I've actually driven a Jeep Cherokee before, but this drives a lot different than the Jeep Cherokee that I drove. I was in my 20s then, so that was like 20 years ago that I drove a Jeep Cherokee, but I'm kind of obsessed. They, like, hooked up my whole, like, I'm so, like, my lap. Okay. It didn't slid it came forward, which I guess is going to be the problem with, I'm going to have to, like, kind of sit down low if I'm going to do this. But anyway, the radio, I'm so excited about. I have all of my Sirius radio channels already programmed in. I just love it. I love this car. I think it's so groovy and just very comfortable. The heat is fantastic in here. I'm so happy about it. I was just thinking about, like, do you remember last summer when I was like, okay, next year I'm gonna have to either get a new car, or I said I'm gonna have to get a new air conditioner in my car, which ended up being all of the problems with that stupid car anyway. And I was like, well, maybe by next year I'll be driving a new car anyway. There was one of my predictions that came true, one of many. So I think like 2 of my predictions from my prediction video already has come true. I'm excited to see what Tanya says. She'll be happy for me. She's always happy for me on stuff like this. So, well, this is not bad. I can do this. Like if I'm kind of like sunk down low in it. But this is kind of a good view, don't you think? This isn't bad. All right. So I just wanted to film a little bit on my way to picking up Tanya Jean, and I will be back a little bit later. I don't know how, like, new car, I'm gonna have to get used to the vlogging situation. So today may be a little shorter than usual. We'll see. I don't know. And I don't want to put a sticky pad on this thing. Like, that's one of the things I don't want to do, because I want to keep this car really nice. And that thing last time on my Explorer, like, it just like melted in, and I don't want to put that on here again. So I'm either going to get like a thing that camera holder from the window, or I'll just do it like this, and just, if it slides forward, I hope. Maybe I can put like a little something there each time I do it or something. I don't know, we'll see. So, all right, you guys, I'm gonna go pick up Tanya, go to my meeting, and I will be back a little bit later. Bye. Okay, I am back. I don't know how I was doing this before that. like it was kind of like sitting, oh, there it is. I'm like sitting like this. Just dropped Tanya off and went to the meeting. The meeting was great. Talked about inventory and fear. And now I am going to the grocery store because I don't have anything to eat at home and I'm starving and I haven't eaten anything. So I'm thinking about getting some hummus. This road is literally like just a sheet of ice. We're supposed to get another foot of snow. Everybody was talking about this tonight at the meeting, that we're supposed to get another foot of snow this weekend. So Tony and I were talking about that. I was like, do you think we really will? She was like, I don't know. She was like, they always say that we're gonna get like a foot of snow, but then we never do get a foot of snow. I was like, I know. Alex is at home watching TV with the dogs. I'm starting to like figure stuff out about this car because I'm like really slow with all that stuff. So I'm trying to like figure out like how to do the heat. I figured out the heat. I already knew how to do like the heated seats and the steering wheel, but now I know how to do like all of the heat. And I'm gonna go home and eat. I'm kind of tired. I may lay down for like 40 minutes and then vlog and listen to my audiobook a little bit. Tanya was like, this car is so smooth. She was like, don't you think it's such a smooth drive? And I said, it really is a smooth drive. It's so nice. I thought weirdly, like later in the day, I would feel like I kind of wish I had gotten the Wrangler. You know, because it just is such a fun car. But I was telling Tanya tonight, I said, I think like down the road, what I would like to do is like just get a Jeep Wrangler, like 2-door, soft top, you know, buy it outright. I don't care if it has, you know, 100,000 plus miles on it, something cheap that I can get, you know, like at auction or something, because her husband always like buys cars at auctions and knows how to do that. And I said just to have like, you know, that as like a fun car for like us in the summer and whatever. Like, well, Alex will probably end up leasing a Jeep Wrangler, but I said, you know, just to have that car to like drive around it, not this summer obviously, but you know, maybe next summer or something, that's something I could save for. She's like, I think you could get one for not too expensive. And I was like, yeah, I think so too. So like, maybe that's what I'll do. And I was like, I'm gonna keep this car super clean. She was like, you always keep your cars really clean. I was like, I know. She's like, you already have your stations already programmed on Sirius. So I have Chill, BPM, and Diplo. Those are like the 3 electronic dance music stations. And then I have 3 country music stations: Studio, Highway, and Y2 Country. And right now, Ashley McBride, Girl Going Nowhere, is playing, and I'm listening to Highway. That's what one of the, there's like 6 country music stations that they're all really good. There's one called Waylon Willie or something like that. It's really good. It's like really old country music. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out something, because this is gonna be like, it's not gonna be great on how I'm, oh, that's not too bad, like where I'm sitting, unless I'm like really hunched down low, and I don't know that I necessarily wanna do this. But anyway, so yeah, it's been a really exciting day. It's been a really good day, calm. And now I'm just gonna have a little bit of dinner and relax with my husband and the dogs and watch some TV with him. I was really thinking about wanting to get Taco Bell, but then I was like, you know what, hummus is probably a better choice. And I really wish there was a Whole Foods right here and I would go get some soup, but there's not. And by the time that I get to the Whole Foods by us, it'll be closed. So I'm just gonna go in here. Macaroni and cheese sounds good too, but I'm not gonna get any macaroni and cheese. That turn signal sounds kind of funny, doesn't it? I'm definitely not used to this yet. New car, new era of vlogging. Do you guys know about this whole thing, like newer cars, like they stop now and then like they restart like once you get going? Did you hear that with my car? It's weird. Maybe that was the car next to me, I don't know. But Tanya asked me, she's like, does your car do that? And I said, he said it did, but I haven't really like noticed it yet. I thought that was it. Anyway. Mel and I decided tonight what our book is gonna be for next month. Her dog had to have surgery today. So please send out your prayers and love to Mel's dog. Her dog is doing really well. She was worried about her. She's doing good though. We've been texting today, so I've been worried about our little doggy too. Every time after I go to the grocery store, I always see a bunch of people from my meeting. Isn't that so funny? Okay. I will be back in just a little while. Bye. Hello. Okay, I am back. And it is really late, you guys. It is 5:31 a.m. And I went home and I ate. And then I completely crashed out, which I haven't said on here in a long time. And I think I woke up like 4 times and told myself I was gonna get up and vlog, and then I just kept on sleeping. Here I have to like sink down low. The first time that I got up, it was like, so I went upstairs with Alex, because he went to bed about 11, and laid there with him and talked to him a little bit before he was going to sleep. And I've really been using this fanny pack a lot, this Champion fanny pack. I really, really like it. I've been carrying it with me everywhere. So anyway, I laid there with him, and then I was like, I'm so tired. I said, I just feel like I've been going all day today. And he was like, do you still have to do your vlog, babe? And I was like, yeah. I said, I'm not going to vlog for super long tonight, though. I said, but I still want to go out and vlog for a little bit. And he was like, well, just go do it now, and then you can go to bed early. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And I need to tell you, I was like out. Where is my lip balm in here? I cannot find it because I'm with these glasses. I was out, like, my sunglasses. Put my sunglasses in my little sunglass thing up here. I was like out right away, and I woke up at like 1 o'clock. I have been having the most vivid dreams lately, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about dreams and nightmares tonight, I think. And I have been having the most vivid dreams lately, and some nightmares too, but not as much as like good dreams. So I woke up at 1-ish, middle of this like total dream, and then I woke up and it was 2:30, and I was like, God, I can't believe I slept this long. And but I was like, felt really good, and I was like, I'm just gonna lay here for 5 more minutes. And I woke up. Oh, hi, camera. Where did you go? Okay, I'm over here. I woke up, and we're gonna have to figure something out, because I don't know how I'm gonna make this work. Like for tonight, you guys, this is just gonna have to be the deal. I'm just gonna go to Best Buy tomorrow and see if I can find a thing for like to put on there. But anyway, I woke up at like 5:15 or something like that. I literally like got up, took pee-pee outside to go to the bathroom, and or outside to go potty, and then I like came straight to my car and started vlogging. I woke up at 5-something, and I was just like completely blissful. Like I was having the most amazing dream. Do you ever feel like that? Like, I just felt, and I felt so rested and so good. I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. And I went downstairs and I chugged a bunch of water, and then I got this water and I brought this with me. Which I found out where this was. This is in my backpack that I carry. I don't know why I put it in there. That was kind of random, but I found that in there the other day. Did I even say that in here, or did I say it in another video that I couldn't find this? It was like missing. So anyway, needless to say, it is 5:36 and I'm rested. Like, I feel like completely rested. I'm still kind of like waking up a little bit, but I feel rested. And I almost fell on my butt walking outside because we got a little bit of sleet last night. The roads seem to be pretty good. The roads seem to be pretty good, but our sidewalk was slick and I didn't see it, and I like almost just kind of like came upended. I also couldn't find my icon hat. I don't know where. It must be in the bedroom. I walked downstairs, so I grabbed this hat and threw it on. But yeah, so I'm gonna vlog. I mean, this won't be long. I'm gonna vlog for like a half an hour or more, and this morning, and then I'm gonna go home and go to sleep. It's interesting. I was actually talking to Alex about some of my dreams tonight when he came home. It's interesting, like, so I remember a lot of my dreams, and when I was growing up, my mom was really into like dreams and dream interpretation. My mom, like, the whole time that I was growing up was like really involved in going to therapy and she went to psychoanalysis actually like twice a week, like where you just like lay on a couch and you don't really say much, you know what I mean? And or they don't say anything. They just kind of sit there and listen to you, like the old school. She used to go to, she'd be like, she would always say to me as I got older that he was the only psychoanalyst in Indianapolis or something. Anyway, she went to him for a long time when I was like a kid. She really believed in that stuff. My mother was very that when I was growing up. Like, she was into anything like, I don't know, she was very artsy. My car does start over, like it is that, because when I was earlier, I was sitting at a stoplight and I heard it start up, and I was like, that's kind of weird that it does that. But anyway, my mom was always like reading the newest self-help book and, you know, growing herbs in our kitchen and just, you know, always going to the newest like art installation, the art museum, and taking me there, and, you know, had memberships to every museum in town, and I don't even know how to like kind of encapsulate that into like one kind of belief, but that's just who she was like when I was growing up. And, you know, one of the things that fit into that was just she was always in therapy or counseling or something for herself, even when things were not, I guess, horrible, and just to always further to understand herself, you know. And I wonder if I brought like a towel, if it would like sit like underneath there. I'm like, maybe I could prop it up a little bit. That might work. And she loved it. So she was always really into like dream interpretation and what dreams meant and all that kind of stuff, and encouraging that with me as I was growing up. And so she bought me a dream journal. I can't remember how old I was. I mean, it was legit, like just like a notebook or something. But, and she would say, you know, when you wake up, write down, like, you know, keep it next to your bed and write down everything that you remember from your dreams. You know, you don't have to show me, you know, I won't, you know, whatever. But the more you do it, the more you'll remember. And meaning that, like, the more, like, if you keep a dream journal, like, if every day you wake up, whatever you remember that moment that you wake up, you just start writing, like, day after day after day, you'll start remembering more of your dreams, right? And the reality is, I think, like, when we wake up and we believe that we've been having a dream for, like, the last, like, let's say if it's a dream we feel like we've been having for, like, hours and hours if we've been asleep, that's probably literally, like, the last 2 seconds of a dream or something like that. I don't know. But that's like how fast our mind works. That what we remember as being super, super long part of our dream is actually just like, you know, a second or two. But the more that you write down your dreams, the more that you kind of like look at them, the more your mind remembers. So you start off just remembering little like details, and then as you go on to record your dreams, like over time, you'll remember more and more and more, which is true. What is interesting that happened to me was that I started having night terrors. And there is some connection with night terrors and epilepsy, which, like, my doctors believe that there's a possibility that I may have grown up with epilepsy and it just wasn't diagnosed until I was, so if you don't know, I have epilepsy. I was diagnosed when I was, like, I think 27, 28. I don't remember the exact year, but anyway. And they either think that, my doctor either thinks that I organic, like, to this day, they've never, like, been able to figure out why I have epilepsy. I don't have a medical history of it in my family, although my mother's father died when she was 4, so it could be, you know, he could have had epilepsy. It tends to follow males in families, like, if you're, like, male, and I either organically have epilepsy, or, my doctor has thought that it could have come from, it just got really, oh, hold on a second. Or, I have to say one thing, you guys, okay? Like, when, I'm trying to figure out the controls here on the car. Controls. When I got out to my car tonight to vlog, I was like, because when I was driving home, I was kind of like a little bit like I saw some Wranglers, and I was like, maybe I wish I would have gotten a Wrangler. But when I came out to my car tonight and I jumped inside and it was literally like toasty warm in 2 seconds, I was like, it was like so luxurious in here. I was like, I think I made the right decision. So anyway, watch. It's something that's so simple as buying a new car will have a lot of conversation in the comment sections below. There will be people that told me I'm an idiot and that I bought the wrong car, and then the people will be like, oh, I'm so happy for you, and it's gonna be the most interesting comment section to read in a long time in the video. So I already thank you and welcome your comments. But so what was I gonna say about that? Oh, so yeah, so, or, it was either organic, and when I had, like, I got epilepsy, and that maybe I had it from a younger age, and we just never caught it, or I never knew. The kind of, epilepsy I have is called juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, and that, it doesn't, just because juvenile, it doesn't have anything to do with the age. What it means is that I have petit mal seizure, so like very, like they're like small seizures. And so what would happen is I would like, it looked like almost kind of like Tourette syndrome. And so there's a possibility that I had it and it just never was caught because nobody like realized it. Maybe I didn't realize it. You know what I mean? Okay, so, but, or they think that, I don't know if I have shared the story on here, but when I was 19, did you hear my car start again? That's gonna be weird for me. I'm not used to that yet. When I was 19 years old, I was drunk leaving a Christmas party, and I was hit by a van going across the road. And I was thrown and I landed on my head, and they think there's a possibility that it could have come from that too. They don't really know, so it could be one or the other. My doctor has never really been too concerned with it. He's just like, take your medicine, come to your check-ins, and make sure that things are fine, and they always have been. I've been on the same medication the entire time I've been, but they tried to switch me once to Lamictal, but I gained a bunch of weight, like, really quick, and which is supposed to be the opposite effect of what Lamictal does. So they changed me back to my medicine. Anyway, I just didn't like how it made me feel either. So anyway, yeah. I don't know what that has to do with what I was talking about with dreams. Dreams. These dreams go on when it's cold. Do you guys like Heart? Anna Nancy Wilson of Heart? Okay, so, yeah, but so I know what I was saying. That when I was a kid, at some point, I don't remember what age, I started having night terrors. Well, there's a difference between nightmares and night terrors. Nightmares? You know, nightmares are when you have like a dream that's scary. A night terror is when you're literally like shrieking in your dream and you wake up and you have like, and I still have them to this day, but I don't have them very often anymore. And you like have soaked the bed, sweating, and like the first time like that it happens that you remember it, it's a really freaky, like the times it's happened to me as an adult, like even, like it still freaks me out. It used to happen to me a lot when I was younger. I can't really remember the last time that it happened. Where I literally woke up and I was like, I think it's happened since I've been vlogging, because I think I talked about it on here one time. But like it's almost like you can hear yourself in the dream, like in the nightmare, or night terror, whatever. And you're like, because like Alex will wake me up and be like, Peter, it's gonna be okay, you're okay. I mean, like they have to, like somebody, whoever's next to you, if you're with somebody, thankfully, kind of like has to normalize you for a second. And it's like immobilizing terror is what it's like. Well, I had them as a kid, and supposedly they're related to neurological disorders. Sometimes, not always. And but I kind of outgrew them. So sometimes when, like in the past, when I've had like seizure activity, I always sleep and dream really, really well the day following that. Just really strange. But I don't really have that anymore. Which I feel like is a blessing. I don't know. I mean, I think 20 years of being a diagnosed epileptic, and in that time having one grand mal seizure, I think is really good. And my doctors tell me that. My doctor tells me that it's really good. I don't know. So you should try it. You should write down your dreams and see if you find common themes to your dreams. One of the nightmares that I used to have, and I've actually talked about this on here before, but it's always interesting to me, still to this day, is that it just started snowing outside. We're supposed to get like an inch of snow here, an inch of snow there, and then we're supposed to get like a foot of snow on Saturday, supposedly. I'm all here for it. Everybody's complaining in Indianapolis about it. Did I talk about this already on here? I think I did. Everybody's complaining about it. I'm like all for it. I'm like, bring it on. When I was growing up and my mom was drinking a lot, I would have dreams that she was like zombified in our house, and she would like be like, I'd be trying to get us out of the house, and I couldn't get her out of the house, and I knew that somebody was coming to kill us, and I would like get her like in sometimes I'd get her in the car, and like I would, as a kid, like be driving down the street. Now I will tell you, like, what's weird is that I had this dream like up until my mom got sober, and then I never had this dream again. But even when I would have it when I was older, often in the dream I was a little kid, like in the dream, if that makes sense. Even though I was like 16 or 17 at the time in real life, like I would as I was having the dream, I was like a little kid in the dream, like 5 or 6. And so, like, I would get her in the car and I would get us down the street, and then, like, something would happen, like, the street would be barricaded off or whatever. We would have to turn back around, and then we would come back, and then somehow I would always get out of the house, and I would be across the street at the neighbors who were good friends of ours, and, like, the drapes would be closed in our living room, and I could just see, like, shadows of people, like, in our living room, and I would see my mom kind of shuffling back and forth, and somebody, like, trying to stab her and kill her and stuff like that. And then I would wake up. I had that dream a lot when I was growing up as a kid. And when my mom got sober, I stopped having that nightmare. Like, completely, never had it again. But it's kind of a way to understand, like themes in your life. Like, I have this nightmare, right? And I'm on 465, which is the interstate that goes around Indianapolis. I actually... I shouldn't talk this nightmare into existence because I haven't had it in a while. And it's terrifying when I do have it, even though, like, I can talk about it in real life and it's like nothing, but like when you know, like when you talk about a nightmare, like in like waking life, it doesn't seem scary, but then when like you have it, it seems like terrifying, you know? So I have this nightmare that I have, and I'm driving on 465 and adjust my mirror. So I'm driving on 465 and I need to get off the exit to like go to our house, which in my nightmare or in my dream, the exit is always like, it's not like a real exit like in real life. It's like a made up exit. Does that make sense? So but all of a sudden then, like, often in this dream, this nightmare, I'm, like, in Chicago. And I'm, like, coming from Evanston to downtown Chicago, and I'm, like, stuck in, like, this crazy, like, passing lane stuff that I'm very confused about in my dream. But in this specific nightmare of getting off at the exit, I always, like, can never remember which exit I'm supposed to take. Like, it's either I get in this very far left lane or very far right lane, and I can never remember in my dream which one it is. Is it out of focus? I can't tell. No. I can never remember which one it is. And you guys, the quality on this vlog is just, like, total shit. I am so sorry. I'm, like, literally, like, sitting down like this. But I can never remember if it's like the far right lane or the far left lane. And I always take the wrong one. And then when I get off, because I'm not a person that like loves like, you know, fast things like that or whatever, or high, like, I mean, I don't mind heights, but I don't like love stuff like that anyway. So the exit is literally like this, like, like that, right? And I just have to let go of my wheel of my car until it just like bottoms out and like goes to the end, and then like, and all these people are by me and they're going fast too, and they don't seem afraid of it, and like, and I'm totally terrified of it, and I'm just like, I have no control over my car whatsoever in that moment, and I'm always fine, but I always come out. What's really weird is I come out behind these bars in downtown Indianapolis that I know where these friends of mine used to live, and but, okay, so whenever I have that dream in my life, like, and I haven't had that dream in quite some time, but I always, like, that dream is an indicator to me, because I've done a lot of, like, analysis on that dream and looking at different dreams in my life, that's a dream that represents me feeling like my life is out of control, that I don't really have any control in that moment of what's going on. And powerlessness to me as an addict and an alcoholic is like a pretty profound feeling. Like, whenever I have that, I need to be very like aware and cognizant of that, because it comes up a lot of times. You know, like when my mom was really ill, when she was in the hospital, I literally felt like I had I felt completely powerless, you know? So, like, that's a dream for me. That's a good indicator of where I'm at in my life, you know, to some degree. And could not see it, and it stopped. I could not see it. Oh my God, you guys, that Suzanne Barsh documentary that I started watching on Netflix is so good. I don't know that it's for everybody. I don't know that everybody would love it, but I think it's super interesting, and it goes in and it talks a lot about, like, how she got started doing what she's doing, and she's like this, you know, huge party event planner. I don't know, it's just really interesting to me. So, if you're interested in that whole kind of like New York nightlife, Michael Alig, party monster, club kid kind of thing, you would, Lee, what's his name, Lee Bowers from London, you would enjoy it. Like, it's very like that. She kind of was like a big deal. She's still a big deal, but she's like a big deal during that era. And much of the documentary is around her putting together this museum exhibition of like pieces, fashion pieces. It's at the Fashion Institute of Technology's museum, and it's like an exhibit that they're going to have up for 2 months in the documentary, and it's about like she was like a muse to a lot of like really important like fashion designers like John Galliano and Alexander McQueen. And so she has like, in Vivienne Westwood, she has like pieces that these people like made her specifically, like just made her as a friend. And she has these pieces, and she's like has them all collected. So I have talked nonstop about this. I don't know if I've talked about it on here today. I'm so like over the fact this is like cutting off my head. I don't know what I'm gonna do to figure this out, you guys, but I will be figuring something out in the next 24 hours. Or not, and it'll be bad tomorrow, and then the next 48 hours. But I watched this Oprah interview of RuPaul. Did I talk about this on here last night? It resonated with me on such a level that I have talked about it all throughout today. It was really a fantastic interview. It was the Soul Sunday interview that was like, it's like 47 minutes long, something like that. But so much of what RuPaul said in this interview was just so fantastic. He was talking about spirituality just not being that deep, you know, and that he's everything and nothing all at once. And I was talking to Tanya about it tonight because it just really, like, I so connected with what he was saying at times in this interview. You know, he was talking about, Oprah said, "What do you think your purpose is here on earth?" And he said, "I think my purpose is supposed to be to like experience life and have the most enjoyment possible," something to this effect, and then to pass that on to other people to show them that it's possible, they can do the same thing. And she was like, "That I really like that answer." She's like, "That might be the best answer I've ever had on this show." You know, she's like, "That's very simple." And he goes, "It's just none of it is that deep." He's like, "It's not brain science, you know." And he said, "We're all connected as human beings, you know, he said, "You know, we want to believe that we're separate and we're different and all this kind of stuff." And he goes, we're unique beings. He said, "But we're all just, you know, like, she quoted who it was on the show, and I can't remember who she quoted, but I always knew it as a recovery saying, so a lot of what they talked about on there were like recovery things that I had heard, but that is that we're spiritual beings having a human experience," which I love that quote. I can't believe I'm almost out of my water, because I do very much believe that we're, you know, spiritual beings having a human experience. But I think you have to buy into that, you know, for that to be true. You know, to what you believe in and all of that. I didn't show you guys like a full outside shot of my car, did I? Isn't it funny how the car shopping thing was such an ordeal for like the last week, and then it's like done and one and done. I just remembered part of my dream that I was having that was so weird. This guy that I was friends with, I just had a dream that I talked, like I ran into him somewhere, and he was telling me that he was going to move home. And he has a son that's like 14. And he and his son were going to move home with his mom and dad. Which his mother would love. Oh my God, she would die. She's like the ultimate grandma. And he was like, I just feel like I'm so old to be moving home. And I was like, why do you feel like so old to be moving home? I think that's great. And he was like, do you? I was like, yeah. I said, I think, you know, if you want to move home, move home. I don't know if that would be what I would say to him in person. I'd be like, you're moving home at 40? I guess if you have to, you know? Why does it do that? That's so weird to me. He told me that today. He was like, all of the new cars do that with like the starting up again, but I don't know that I like that. It makes me kind of nervous. I've actually had quite a few friends that like moved home later in life, either because their parents got really, really sick or because financially they had to, you know. I mean, we live in an era where, God, you can lose your job tomorrow, and it's like, you know, like, what do you do? Scary. Does it do it every time I stop? Is there a reason why? Does anybody know why it's doing that? I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but does it do that every single time? Like, I guess it's like, he said when you come to a full stop. So does it do it every single time like, is that a bad thing? I don't know. I'm driving through Zionsville right now, and it is like, it's like 6:03 a.m. now, and have I been vlogging for half an hour already? That can't be possible. But I never drive through here this late at night, and people are actually like coming in and going to these places for breakfast. I'm wide awake now. I won't be able to go back to sleep when I get home. Alex is always like, when I'm like up this early and I can't go back to sleep, he's like, just film your videos now, babe. Then you can get them up early and you can just, you know, film a bunch of videos all in one. I'm like, okay, I could do that. I go, but you know, like, drama doesn't really happen at 6 a.m. in the morning for the drama channel. What do you guys think about like Christmas lights that are left on cars like way into the air? Do we like that? Do we not like that? What do we think about it? I think sometimes it's pretty. Like if they're white. I don't know. I kind of like the colored ones too. Like the multicolored ones I think are kind of pretty. I'd pull into one of these little places for breakfast, but I'm not one bit hungry right now. Just funny. I got hummus and stuff earlier, and I sat there and ate a little bit of it while Alex was watching Vanderpump Rules. interesting to me on shows like that. You know, it's like drinking is such a big part of reality shows. And, you know, like something huge will happen. There'll be like some like physical or like, you know, aggressive fight. And people will go at each other. And then, like when they confront each other, it's always about, like one of them will say, like on Vanderpump Rules, it was about James, if you watch it. He got fired because he's always drunk. And, well, because he was aggressive towards Katie and stuff. And, he's like talking to this girl about it, and he's like, I know, but I was drinking a lot, and it has a lot to do with alcohol. And she's like, I relate. She's like, I do the same thing. And I'm like, you guys are like 30, okay? Like, you're not, like, if you're not alcoholics that need help, like, you're 30. Like, maybe stop drinking on this level where it's, your drinking is affecting, like, how you interact with people. And if you don't believe that you're an alcoholic and you're drinking and you're calling people horrible names like this, then maybe you need to take a look at what's going on. Like, I just was like, what is going on here, like, on this show? But I just think it's kind of such a piss poor excuse at some point, too, you know? When people say, like, well, I was drinking or whatever, I just don't use that as, like, I just don't understand how people use that still as an excuse. Like, I'm not big on that as an excuse with people in my life. Like, like, if you consistently are using that as an excuse, then you probably need to take a look at your substance intake. And this is just how I feel about it. And, because there probably are quite a few people out there, you know, that, like, I don't know, but if you just find yourself over and over and over saying to yourself, it reminds me a lot of the movie When a Man Loves a Woman, like the beginning of it, honestly. She, like, makes a lot of excuses, and she always says she's drinking. It's been so long that I don't honestly remember. I probably did. We were talking a little bit about that in the meeting tonight. Like, a couple of these men were talking about, like, when they would, like, come home and, you know, their wife would, like, make dinner at, like, 7 o'clock, and they would roll through the door at, like, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're, like, this one guy, this friend of mine was like, he's been sober forever. But he said that, like, this one time, like, at the very end, you know, his wife had made dinner for them at, like, 8 o'clock. Well, he rolled in at, like, 8 o'clock, or he rolled in at, like, 3 o'clock in the morning, and he had, like, you know, like, pissed himself. And he was laughing, telling it, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there thinking of a scene, and I'm thinking to myself, like, only now can we laugh at this shit, because it's funny in retrospect, but it wasn't funny at that time, you know, I'm sure. But he's like, you know, here I am, my wife was cooking a meal at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or whatever. I haven't called, I haven't checked in. I rolled through the door at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm standing there, you know, like, with a bloody lip and a black eye from getting into a fight in some bar. I pissed myself, and my wife looks at me and goes, have you been drinking? And he goes, I always thought that was such a stupid question. You know, like, obviously I've been drinking. But I think that, you know, we use alcohol as an excuse so often. But what we have to remember before that is that we choose to drink. So it's not like, oh, this happened because I was drinking. Well, you chose to drink. And if you're drinking to a point that you can't stop, then the reality is you need to check your substance intake. Like, then it's not about, well, I was drinking. Then it's about, well, I need to get help for what I'm going through. Because if you use that as an excuse once, I can totally understand that. Like, well, I did this because I was drinking, right? But if that becomes your mantra over time, then the reality is, like, this is a good indicator, you know? Like people always ask me, like, what are some, like, if I really didn't know that I was an alcoholic, like, what are some ways for me to tell? Well, if you're using alcohol as an excuse for behaviors in your life consistently, you know, I'm not saying every day, or every week, but, you know, a couple times, maybe every 2 months or something, you need to check that. Like, if you're saying to people and to yourself, well, this happened as a result of me drinking, right? Then why are you choosing to drink? What you're saying is, I'm choosing to have negative consequences in my life. Somebody was asking me the other day, they were like, how do you define addiction? And I said, for me, I said, you know, addiction is continuing to choose to use in spite of knowing that you're going to suffer more consequences. And it doesn't really have anything to do with how often you're using. To me, like, you know, like, I mean, I was always taught that you can be an alcoholic and only drink 1 time a year. I mean, like, honest to God. So, you know, it's really about what, like, the behaviors that are associated with that when you're doing it. It doesn't really have anything to do with, like, oh, I'm drinking every day, you know, like sitting on a corner drinking, you know, whatever. Like, I think we have that kind of idea that stigma that's attached to it, but that's not really it. The other thing I would say is, if you have a family member or a friend or a kid who's trying to get sober and you're questioning, like, you're not drinking or using around them, like, you know, I used to have family members all the time that would say to me, like, you know, husbands, wives, parents, that would say, when I was working in treatment, I remember being in, you know, a family group, and because we did family group every Thursday night, and they would say, you know, like, well, because my daughter's coming home, does that mean that, like, I can't keep a 6-pack of beer in the fridge? Like, I should be able to keep a 6-pack of beer in the fridge, even though, you know, I mean, it's my house. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, how important to you is that 6-pack of beer? Well, I mean, it's not that important to me, but, like, I mean, it's my house. Like, I'm not the one that has the problem, right? And I'd say, you know, if you're really struggling this hard with not keeping a 6-pack of beer in your house over your daughter's sobriety, like, maybe you need to take a check. Maybe you need to check that out. Maybe you need to take a look at that, right? Because obviously it sounds to me like that 6-pack of beer is a little bit more important to you than your daughter's sobriety. Like, that's a no-brainer, right? Because that 6-pack of beer is going to cost her probably a lot more than it's, well, I know, but are you telling me or I can't even go out and have a margarita with my girlfriends and come home because my husband just got out of treatment? No. If your husband has an issue with it, you probably shouldn't go out and have a margarita with your girlfriends. Go out and have a Coke with your girlfriends and come home. The alcohol in your breath may trigger your husband. Is your husband's sobriety more important? Well, I'm not the one that got myself into this. That's when you start seeing that, like, resistance, you know, that it's like, okay, maybe there's more than one person in this family that has a substance abuse problem, which that could be a lot too, you know. I've seen a lot of families heal and get together. My story of my mom and I is really not like that special. I mean, I know a lot of parents and children, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters that got sober, you know, within a period of time around each other, like, you know, same year, or somebody that I know tonight was just talking about this, about their brother getting sober. So, you know, I mean, it happens all the time. And I think that families in recovery are like a really, really cool thing. And I think that, you know, people need to tell their stories so they can realize that can happen for anybody. I'm up, like, I am totally, like, wide awake now. Because if I go home and I go to sleep, I will eventually fall asleep. It'll take me a while. And then I'll just completely crash out. I'm getting t-shirts made for that for my merch shop. Somebody suggested it to me, and I think I will do that. But I'm going to completely crash out until, like, because it's now 6:15, like noon or 1, and then I'll be like, my whole day will be wasted. Or maybe not. We finally picked our book club book for February. And I'm going to announce it on here because by the time that I get this up tomorrow anyway, I'll probably already have my booktube video up. But for the month of February, we are reading In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. Truman Capote wrote what is sometimes deemed the very first true crime book ever. And it is supposedly terrifying. I think I've read parts of it. My mom used to talk a lot about it. She loved Truman Capote. And I've read some of his other works. I read A Christmas Memory, which is one of my favorites. He wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's, obviously. He's been in a lot of things. He was friends with Andy Warhol. If you've ever read To Kill a Mockingbird, Dill was actually Truman Capote. Truman Capote would come and stay with his aunts in the summer, and he and Harper Lee were friends growing up. She ended up then becoming his assistant later when he was working on In Cold Blood, I believe. There's actually a book or a movie called Capote with Sandra Bullock plays Harper Lee in it, I believe, and it's all about the In Cold Blood case. So there's quite a few movies. There's actually a movie, an old movie and a new movie. I think there's a new movie called In Cold Blood. But it was like the first true crime book ever that was really like put out there. He like kind of defined the genre. So Mel and I were talking, and she really wanted to read something about the Black Dahlia, but the book that we had picked was by James Ellroy, and it was part of the LA Confidential series, and we didn't realize at the time that it was it was fiction. So that was the book that we were gonna pick, and then I was getting ready to literally make my video, and I pulled it up, and I was like reading through on Goodreads, and I texted her, and I said, Mel, I said, do you realize this book is fiction? And she goes, is it? And I said, she goes, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I'm absolutely sure. She goes, oh my God, I didn't know that. So yeah, we're gonna read In Cold Blood starting in February 1st, which will be a good, I think if we're gonna do a year of true crime, I think we need to read In Cold Blood anyway. I think it's like such like a, profound piece of true crime, it's not literature, but you know what I'm saying, out there that we need, if we're going to talk about it as like a canon of like, novels or books, we need to have that one out there. So, and I've never, I don't think, read the whole thing all the way through. I feel like I've seen the movie. I remember it being in black and white. I remember there being like, there was another movie talking about the police investigation, and I remember like the guy getting, I think, executed for it or something. So it'll be interesting to see how much of it I remember. But okay, the camera fell forward, and then every time I was reaching to push record, it was out of focus. It just kept on staying out of focus, so I had to turn the camera off and restart it. Anyway, just to finish that up. So, the book that we are reading for the month of February is... that was a lot. I was reaching over that. Is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. So, yeah. So, anyway. But I'm going to finish up with that, you guys. I'm going to go home and either try to rest or, I don't know, get up for the day and take a shower and make some videos and go get some coffee and all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Wednesday. And, yeah, I'm going to try to figure out how I'm going to vlog from this car. So, that will be part of today's figurings. It may be like this for the next couple days, you guys, until I figure out a system that I like. A lot of the suction cup things that you can buy at, Best Buy and Walmart and stuff, they just don't work very well. I just don't love them. So this might just be the best I do for a while. I don't know. I might try a towel and see just like how sitting on a towel works. Because like this isn't bad right now. Like at the very end here, like how I'm sitting, like this is pretty good. So we'll just have to see. It just started snowing again. It's kind of like off and on snowing. Anyway, it's pretty. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.